What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video and welcome to another interpretation of Records from the Road. A sort of mini-series, I guess, of kind of a take on vinyl finds, but specifically when I am traveling and checking out stores from across the world and elsewhere. So last weekend, about a week ago, I had to take a work trip to the state of Oregon. Oregon, okay? I'll say Oregon. But I have to be careful because if I say Oregon too fast, people think I say Oregon, like a heart. Anyway, so this was interesting, and this sort of video will contain some more personal stuff and trip stuff, obviously record stuff, music stuff. But this was a trip I was looking forward to taking all the way back in March. It was sort of like a birthday trip. I had to take a work trip out there, but I was going to extend it for personal reasons, which is great because like you still get the work stuff paid for. So my flight out there is, paid for, hotel and all that kind of stuff. But, I extend it, and the West Coast, the Oregon coast specifically, I always wanted to go to. So I had a couple of days in Portland, and then I had some work that I had to do in Corvallis, and I kind of just tried to make the absolute most of what I could being in place for 3 days and 2 nights, and then took a red eye back to Ohio. So it was a pretty quick few days, but obviously what I love doing more than anything is obviously going to different places, buying records from record stores, and then I also am a big fan of sort of exploration and the great outdoors and checking out amazing things. And if you have not gone to the Oregon coast before, do it. It's absolutely amazing. I'll include some pictures or videos or just different things that I took when I was there. But it was amazing. So also, I want to say this. Somehow things just worked out, which if you know me, and maybe you've picked this up watching some of my videos, like you know that things typically don't work out for me. In fact, they never do. I'm like George Costanza, except not funny, And so I was actually very surprised pleasantly that everything on this trip worked out exactly how it was supposed to and more. So let's get right into it. So I landed in Portland. I don't know, maybe it was like 2 p.m. or so on a Saturday, and I went directly to a record store. Now, here's the thing with Portland. There's, for someone named Beer and Vinyl, I will be the first to admit there is too much beer and there's too much vinyl in Portland. I mean, it is a cesspool of record stores and breweries. I mean, it's absurd. So I wanted to be selective with the types of places I went to, knowing that I have great stores here. I can buy new stuff anywhere. I wanted to go to the places that were a little bit more special, if that makes sense. And so the place that somebody told me to go to, just because it was wild, it was called Millennium. And let me tell you, this place was huge. It was awesome. I loved the store. Maybe not quite the used selection that I would have liked, but the store was something else. And you can kind of tell like this is like such a main focus of the area. Now, what I also like doing is when I'm traveling and I'm looking for records, I'm very particular. I've said this before in another in another video that I look for things that I typically can't find in Ohio, because what things mean to people in Ohio, they're a lot more collectible. People are after them. People out west don't care about Ohio artists. So you might be able to find some stuff you just don't find here. And so that's what I want to get into. So my first stop was Millennium, which was awesome. And I picked up 2 records while I was there, both with a really strong Ohio connection. The first one is this comp that has been on my sort of list for a little while, and that is LA Confidential by Stiv Baders. So Stiv Baders, for the non-punk fans out there, if you're a punk fan, you know Stiv Baders, but Stiv Baders founded the Dead Boys, great Ohio, Cleveland, Akron punk band in the 70s. And then after the Dead Boys, he went on to partner with Frank Sessage from Blue Ash, who I've had on my channel before, did a great interview with him. He's coming from Blue Ash, an amazing Youngstown band that was super power pop. And they started writing a lot of songs together. And so in the late 70s, early 80s, Stiv Baders was doing more, less punk and more kind of 60s power pop bubblegum stuff. It's amazing. So the big solo record he had was called Disconnected. And then over the years, a couple of comps have come out, and this was one that had been on my list. So very cool. Most of these songs were all written by Stiv Baders and by Frank Sessich. And so was just really pumped to pick this up again. Don't see this a whole lot out where I am, but was really excited to have that. Also, speaking of interviews that I did, a few days ago I posted an interview with M. Ross Perkins, who's a singer-songwriter on the Coal Mine record label. And he's from Ohio, always lived in Ohio, and is a big fan of Ohio music. And him and I spent a little bit of the interview talking about this artist, Bill Fox. Bill Fox is from Cleveland. He fronted a garagey power pop band in the 80s called The Mice, left the band, kind of like disappeared from music, came back, did some solo records, whatever it is. But this is Transit Byzantium, one of his first solo records. The other big one he did that I'm really on the lookout for is called Shelter from the Smoke. Amazing, but this one is really strong too. Double record, this was on Scat Records, did this sort of the reissue several years ago, maybe 2014 or so. I have to look back, but I was so stoked to find this. And what's really cool, this is super DIY, lo-fi, folky, singer-songwritery stuff. It really sort of popularized, right? Inspired a lot of the Ohio lo-fi alternative stuff that was coming from like Guided by Voices and all that type of stuff. So I would say this is like Bob Dylan meets Alex Chilton meets like the lo-fi whispery quality of Elliott Smith. Similar time frame too. You're talking that like late 90s period. Maybe a little bit of like Roger McGuinn and sort of the fragility of the voice. Great stuff. I might include a clip here. And so that was it. I bought those 2 records and then I was checking out and I was like, good job, Alex. You only bought 2 records. That is pretty good for you. And then I'm checking out and I see behind the register, they have upcoming events. And the very next day, I see that one of my favorite bands, who I've talked about before, Dawze, is doing a free in-store appearance the next day. Coffee sip. And I was like, wow, like, you know, what's the thread on there? Like, well, they're playing in Portland tomorrow night, which I would have loved to go, but I wasn't able to. And they're like, it's the last stop on their tour. So they're coming in, they're doing an in-store and they're going to play a few songs and then they're going to do a signing. Well, shit, that sounds good to me. So I came back the next day at 4:00 to Music Millennium and watched Dawze. Specifically at this point, you know, it's Taylor Goldsmith, it's his brother Griffin Goldsmith. That is kind of formerly Dawze as we know it now. Play about 5 songs, acoustic, amazing harmonies, just, you know, unplugged, the whole thing. And then they did a signing. Now, I own most of Dawze's catalog, at least the ones that I really wanted. But of course, I didn't have them. But this was my chance to get some records signed. So I figured I'm on vacation. I'm going to splurge a little bit. And I'm going to get some. So this was the really big important one for me because this is my favorite Dawze record and what I would recommend for any Dawze fan or anybody trying to get into Dawze. And that is Nothing Is Wrong. Absolutely incredible record. Taylor there and then Griffin here. I love this record. One of my favorite songs of all time is on this record. There's so many great tracks on here. Jackson Browne's on here. But I've talked about before, A Little Bit of Everything is a top 5 song of all time for me. The song means everything to me, and this record is one of this might be like a top 20, top 15, top 20 record of all time. So to have it signed, that meant the world. So that was the big one. Rob, Northern Revolutions, if you're watching, I hope you appreciate this and aren't too jealous. I know you got plenty of signed stuff up there too, but yeah, I was feeling really good about that. Kept it moving. Actually, I did not have this one, and so this was, I didn't feel bad about having to buy it. And that is Passwords. This came out in 2018. Did not have that record, but again, glad to have it. And of course, signed. This was a record that came out last year. I saw them on this tour. I do have this record, but I'll have this one now that is signed. Taylor's showing up pretty good with a little Godzilla heart in the back. Griffin decided to sign with a black Sharpie on a black, you know what, I'm fine. Like, they're doing me a favor, okay? I'm not going to complain about that. And then last of the Dawze stuff that they had, this is Misadventures of Doom Scroller, which came out a few years ago, 2022. Now, Glenn Kellaway, I don't know if you're watching. I know Glenn loves this record. So there's that. But yeah, we're really cool to have this because I didn't have this one before, and now I do, and feel good about it. So and I got a chance to meet them and share a little bit of a story with them. You know, what do you tell these people when you meet them? Like, thanks so much, Mr. Goldsmith. You know, how's Mandy? Whatever. But the story I wanted to share is one of my favorite artists, also of all time, is Warren Zevon. And there's a little bit of a story. I won't go too far into it, but basically, Warren Zevon and David Letterman were really close personal friends. In fact, when Paul Schaefer was out, Warren Zevon would come in and sit and direct the Late Show band. So him and David Letterman developed a strong relationship over the years, a good friendship. And when Warren was essentially dying, Dave had him come on his show. He dedicated the whole show to him. He played a bunch of songs. It was very emotional because he knows he's only got like a few months left, all this type of stuff. But he played a few songs. You can tell he's ill, he's frail, he's not looking good. It's just an emotional time. My favorite song of all time is Desperados Under the Eaves by Warren Zevon. My favorite song of all time. It also happens to be one of David's favorite songs. And so David shared a story several years later that he always wanted Warren to play that song on the show, but he didn't know how to ask him. You know, he's not going to make a request. And so he was sharing this story apparently with Dawze, who were the guests on the show. And they said, well, we know that song. We can play it. So there's actually a really cool version of Dawze playing Desperados Under the Eaves by Warren Zevon on Late Night David Letterman show several years after the death. So I just thought that was the coolest thing. So I shared that story with them, that I was turned on to them through that. And I think they appreciate it because it's less than what people typically hear. So after that, I went to Too Many Records. So Too Many Records is owned by one of the OGs in the vinyl community, Matt Kessler, over at the Too Many Records Too Many Records page or channel. And I knew that he was going to have mostly used stuff, and I wanted to see it because I know he gets grails and all that type of stuff. And I was really pumped to actually find this. Now, let me tell you, this is a good record, a great record, a rare record. It's a reissue, so it's not crazy rare, but cool band, proggy, German, hard rock, good stuff. But to me, this record is all about the album cover. So here we go. Band is Birth Control. German proggy hard rock band. This was their second record from 1971, I believe. Title of this is Operation. Let's take a good look at this album cover. Man, how dope is that? Sorry. Like super like Christian conservative out there. I don't know if this is for you. Well, this might be, of course, never mind. Yeah, this is cool stuff. Birth Control, not talked about a lot. I think their stuff's just really rare over here in the States, to be honest with you. They are probably in that like, you know, I think if you talk about German prog bands, you know, they are right up there. Good proggy hard rock, really cool stuff. But again, for me, man, it is all about that cover, which is awesome. So there was that. That's what I did. I mean, that was Portland. From there, I took the next day. That was my work day. And I had to go to Corvallis, but I didn't have to be there until the evening. So I took like pretty much left early in the morning and I headed down the coast. And I'll share some different clips here so you can see. And it was just an amazing, amazing day. I mean, I'm still tired of driving. It's over a week later. But I just was just in awe in sort of the, geographical and geological phenomena of the world. So it was just a really great trip. And when I got to Corvallis, I had about 20 minutes before my meeting, and I checked, and they indeed did have a record store there that was open. And so I popped in really quick, and I was like, hey man, like I'm from out of town. Like, you got anything good? You know what I mean? Like I just wanted to get something. And so he's like, yeah, check out these new arrivals. And I was actually really pumped to see this. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Happy Trails, which is the name of the record store in Corvallis, Oregon. He was like, since it's your first time in here, you might not be back here, take a tote. I love a good tote, man. It's a good place to put my Tupperware and records. Like, it's one of the only things that allows you to carry records. But he had this Wayne Shorter Moto Grosso Feo, I think, on Blue Note. So this was a Blue Note record that was recorded or set to be released originally, I believe, in 1970, and then was sort of shelved or whatever until 1974. So this was not released until 1974. But check out the lineup on this, right? Chick Corea, John McLaughlin, Ron Carter, Dave Holland, and somebody I'm pretty unfamiliar with, I'm guessing probably percussion, is Michelin Prel. But dang, I mean, this is good stuff. If you are, it's produced by Duke Pearson too. Fascinating. You know, if you are aware of what Wayne was doing in this sort of era, right? Like coming from stuff that was going on with the Miles Davis group, obviously he's doing stuff, what was going on with McLaughlin and Korea too, right? It's all kind of part of that big jazzy incestuous thing. So this is some pretty cool out there stuff, not unlike what was going on at this time in Miles Davis's band. But was really happy to find this for a pretty good price too. I think I paid $15 for this. So really cool record. I've never seen this out there. Kind of an odd cover. But yeah, it's on that classic kind of, 70s era blue label. So yeah, super cool. So yeah, shout out again to Happy Trails in Corvallis for making that work. And that was it. I did my work and I took a red eye out and I was back the next morning here in Columbus by 9:30. And then I slept all day. And then I went to a concert. More on that later. So there you go. Check out the coast if you haven't already. And yeah, thanks for sharing this time with me, if you will. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.